Ton could not stop staring at Amara. Even after they returned home from the police station, her face remained fixed in his mind. The woman he failed to defend. The woman his family insulted daily. Had risked her life to save him. Yet she walked quietly through the mansion like nothing happened. No pride. No revenge. No, I told you so. Just silence. Mama Ton sat in the living room crying softly while Chief Adewale remained unusually quiet. Busy avoided eye contact completely. The shame inside that house was heavy. For the first time in years, nobody had the confidence to speak loudly. Ton finally walked toward Amara slowly. You saved me. Amara looked at him calmly. I thank God you're alive. That's all you have to say? She gave a tired smile. What else should I say? Ton's chest tightened painfully. Because suddenly, he realized how deeply he had hurt her. Not with insults, but with silence. The silence that allowed everybody else to destroy her peace. I'm sorry, he whispered. Amara looked at him carefully. But before she could respond, Mama Ton suddenly stood up. No, she said emotionally. I should be the one apologizing first. Everybody turned toward her. The proud woman who once controlled every conversation now looked completely broken. She walked slowly toward Amara. Then to everyone's shock, Mama Ton knelt down. Mama. Busy gasped. Please forgive me, Mama Ton cried. I judged you wrongly. Amara immediately bent down, trying to lift her. No, Mama, please stand up. But Mama Ton held her hands tightly. I treated you like an enemy from the first day you entered this house. Tears rolled down her cheeks uncontrollably. I mocked your prayers, insulted your background, blamed you for every problem. Amara's own eyes filled with tears. But when my son was missing, Mama Ton continued painfully, you were the only person fighting to save him. Silence swallowed the room. Even the servants nearby looked emotional. Chief Adewale finally spoke quietly. Amara, come here. She walked toward him carefully. The old man looked exhausted from everything that had happened. I owe you my life and my son's life. No, sir. Yes, he interrupted gently. If not for you, my family would have been destroyed. Busy suddenly burst into tears. I'm sorry too, she cried. I was horrible to you. Amara looked at her quietly. Busy wiped her face helplessly. I was jealous because everybody talked about how calm and good you were. I kept waiting for you to react badly so I could prove you were fake. Amara finally spoke softly. I never hated any of you. That sentence broke the remaining pride left inside the room. Mama Ton cried harder. Chief Adewale lowered his head emotionally. And Ton hated himself. Because he realized his wife suffered alone for months inside that house while he stood by doing nothing. Later that night, he entered their room quietly. Amara sat near the window staring outside. The rain had started falling again. Ton walked closer slowly. You almost got killed because of me. Amara looked at him. I was scared. You still went. I couldn't lose you. Her answer hit him deeply. Ton sat beside her carefully. I failed you. The pain in her voice nearly crushed him. When my family insulted you, there were nights I cried myself I was trying because nobody in this house wanted me around. His voice shook slightly. Ton grabbed her hands immediately. Should have included protecting my wife. You had them insult me every day. Tears escaped her eyes again. You had them blame me for everything. His eyes became wet. I know. And still, you said nothing. Ton lowered his head in shame. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Amara finally whispered softly. I prayed for this family every single night. Ton looked up slowly. Even after everything. Yes. Why? Amara smiled weakly through tears. Because hate cannot heal a broken home. That sentence stayed in Ton's chest like a knife. The next morning, something unusual happened inside the mansion. Peace. No shouting. No insults. No tension. For the first time since Amara entered the family, breakfast was prepared and everyone waited for her before eating. When she entered the dining room, Mama Ton stood up immediately. "Come and sit beside me." Amara looked surprised. Busy even pulled out the chair for her quietly. Chief Adewale smiled warmly. "You are the daughter of this house now." Amara nearly became emotional again. As breakfast continued, Chief Adewale suddenly cleared his throat. "There's something everybody needs to know." The room became quiet. "I have decided to hand part of the company operations to Ton and Amara." Busy smiled immediately. But Ton looked shocked. "Dad." Chief Adewale raised his hand. "I ignored wisdom because I was too focused on status and appearance. But this woman saved our family when everybody else was falling apart." Mama Ton nodded emotionally. "She deserves honor." Amara shook her head quickly. "I didn't do all this for money or position." Chief Adewale smiled. "That's exactly why you deserve it." Days turned into weeks. Slowly, the Adewale family began rebuilding their lives. The police investigation exposed even more of Kola's crimes. Several corrupt workers connected to him were arrested. The company stabilized gradually. And inside the house, everything changed. Mama Ton no longer mocked Amara's prayers. In fact, some nights, she joined her. One evening, while they prayed together in the living room, Mama Ton suddenly began crying again. Amara stopped praying immediately. "Mama." The older woman wiped her tears slowly. "I wasted so much time fighting the person God used to save us." Amara hugged her gently. "No more tears." Mama Ton smiled weakly. "You know something funny?" "What?" "I used to think prayer made people weak." Amara smiled softly. "And now?" Mama Ton laughed through tears. "Now I know prayer kept his family alive." Upstairs, Ton stood quietly watching both women. His heart felt full for the first time in months. Later that night, he surprised Amara with a small dinner set up on the balcony. Candles flickered softly around the table. Amara smiled in surprise. "What's all this?" Ton pulled out a chair for her. "A thank you dinner." She laughed softly. "You already thanked me." "Not enough." They sat quietly for a moment before Ton finally spoke again. "You know, when I was tied up in that warehouse, I genuinely thought I was going to die." Amara's smile faded slightly. "But then one of the kidnappers said something." "What?" "He said, that prayerful wife of yours is causing problems for us." Amara's eyes widened. Ton smiled softly. "At that moment, I knew you were fighting for me." Tears filled her eyes instantly. Ton reached across the table and held her hands. "I promise you something today." Amara listened quietly. "No matter who stands against you again, you will never stand alone." Amara finally broke down crying softly. Not from pain this time, but relief. Real relief. Months later, the Adewale mansion became peaceful again. Laughter returned. Family dinners returned. Even the workers noticed the difference. One Sunday afternoon, Pastor Daniel visited the family house for lunch. As everybody ate together happily, he smiled at Amara. "You passed the test." Mama Ton laughed softly. "And we failed it terribly." Pastor Daniel shook his head. "No. Sometimes God allows storms to expose hearts." Chief Adewale nodded thoughtfully. "And ours needed serious fixing." Everybody laughed gently. Then Pastor Daniel looked at Amara again. "You know why your prayers were powerful?" Amara smiled quietly. "Why?" "Because you prayed for people who hurt you." Silence filled the table briefly. Even Busy looked emotional again. That evening, as Amara stood on the balcony watching the sunset, Ton wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You're thinking deeply again." She smiled softly. "I'm just grateful." "For what?" "That I didn't allow bitterness change me." Ton kissed her forehead gently. And downstairs, the same family that once rejected her laughed together peacefully. The prayerful wife they humiliated had become the very reason their family survived. If you enjoyed this emotional story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your favorite part below. And remember, sometimes the people we judge too quickly are the very people sent to save us.